Each time a new chapter releases, it feels like several of my older videos become totally invalidated. Sometimes this is for the better, as it allows me to revisit old videos in my newer, more polished style, but equally it causes people who find those old videos to complain. The fastest solo gen speed video doesn't really fit either of these categories. I released it mid-January, so the style more or less matches up to how I make videos now, and the information contained within it is still relevant and useful. I'm particularly fond of how I showed the way the method plays out. And yet it is, sadly, now an out-of-date video. You had a good 4-month run, friend, but it's time to take another look. This is because of the new Yunjin Lee perk, Fast Track, and the recent changes to Objective Obsession. Fast Track gains 3 tokens for every survivor hooked up to a maximum of 27 tokens, and on completion of a great skill check, consumes all of your tokens in exchange for 1% bonus generator progression, that is 1.25 charges for each token consumed. This immediately offers us an additional 27% progress, which is more than even a brand new part can offer on its own. Objective Obsession, meanwhile, now grants a 6% speed increase to generator repair speed while your aura is being revealed to the killer. Let's talk about that briefly. That means that we're essentially shaving off 4.8 charges if we can figure out a way of having it active for the entirety of the gen. This would be fine, except for the fact that we'd need to drop a perk in order to use it properly. Let's compare the charges saved by each perk. Bear in mind that we're ignoring speed here and just looking at things from a maximizing charges perspective. Objective Obsession grants a 6% speed boost equivalent to 4.8 charges. Spine Chill also grants a 6% speed boost, also, funnily enough, equivalent to 4.8 charges. Resilience grants a 9% speed boost equivalent to 7.2 charges. Streetwise reduces item depletion rate by 25%, which is equivalent to 8 charges of our Commodious Toolbox. Built to Last returns 50% of an item's charges, which is equivalent to 16 charges with our Commodious Toolbox. And finally, Fast Track grants up to 25% bonus progression, which is the equivalent of 21.6 charges. It therefore makes sense to take Resilience, Streetwise, Built to Last, and Fast Track. Now, Streetwise does stack, but I don't think that that really counts here, as that wouldn't be a solo gen repair. Obviously, this is reliant on all of your teammates dying and having been hooked 3 times, but I think that's more of a common scenario and more of a useful thing to look at than having 4 stacks of Streetwise or having a Prove Thyself buff, but the person not actually working on the gen. Now, you might also think that we'd want to take Brand New Part here, but unfortunately for us, Brand New Part causes Fast Track to lose all of its tokens without actually offering any benefit. It therefore makes more sense to ditch it and take scraps instead. So we end up with an instant 27% progression, then a 65 charge toolbox repairing at 1.5 charges per second, recovering itself to 32.5 charges after 10 seconds of being drained. We now have a new problem. It actually won't run out of charges before the generator is completed. We're overshooting by 39.1 charges. So instead, let's try it with the fastest toolbox, the Engineer's Toolbox, which is a base 16 charges and repairs at 2 charges per second. With Streetwise, Scraps, and Wire Spool, we end with an effective 40 charges, plus 20 charges once Built to Last activates. The toolbox will repair for 40 charges and then be out of action for 10.9 charges whilst we wait for Built to Last to proc, where we get back to 20 charges. And at the end of that, the toolbox will be left over with 9.3 charges, meaning that Scraps is a total waste of time. We can instead take Socket Swivels to gain a 30% speed boost. So all in, we're repairing at 2.5 charges per second for 40 charges. Fast Track procs taking away 21.6 charges, leaving 18.4 charges left to do. 10.9 charges are done in the next 10 seconds, before we get back up to 2.5 charges per second for the last 10.7 charges, making for a total repair time of 30.28 seconds. This video is like the most maths heavy thing I've ever done. I can't wait for you guys to point out how it's all wrong. So let's take a look at the 30-second solo generator repair. So there you have it, the current fastest possible solo generator repair. There isn't really much point in taking this into a game as it'd look identical and I'd just be screwing over a few sets of teammates by not doing anything for the entire time, so sorry, that's your lot. Today's question comes from Amethistic, who asks, were you ever very tilted at games? These days I'd never see you get super mad. If that is true, was DBD and gaming in general more fun after starting or not getting tilted at games? So this is quite an interesting one actually. I get really freaking mad at Dead by Daylight. I get really heated. Really mad, really intense. And seconds later, I analyze what just happened and try and improve my gameplay. You'll see me do this on stream. If I mess up and a team bullies me, I will often say, yep, they were better than me. In fact, more than once every single stream, I will say the words, they were better than me, they deserve to win. I think that taking this approach towards games generally means that you're going to be less toxic, you're going to assess your ability, what you're doing, what you aren't doing. If you aren't getting mad, then you're able to see through the kind of cloud and haze of emotion, and I think that makes you a considerably better player, or at least allows you to analyze your skill more and make improvements. Content creating helps a lot, because if I do poorly in a game off stream, that's just time wasted. If I don't pip, I'm not really making any progress except through blood points, whereas if I'm streaming, I'm creating content, so I don't really care quite as much. It's a tricky one, there's a balance somewhere there, but generally speaking, if you try and control your emotions and not get as angry, you're going to be able to analyze what you did better, and thus get better at the game. As well as the names on screen right now, I'd like to thank my patrons, Nutmeg the Fine, Luca, Spikey Pro, and Pigeon Toast, as well as Gem Rush's Clever Mins of the Entity members, Merciless Cheeseburger, Santi Gamer, Spikey Pro, Joshua Daney, Aliari, KK and the Cat, Lewis Hernan, Aaron Hutchie, Dapper, and Chipstar878. If you would like early access to videos, then consider becoming a patron, and if you want emotes and a badge in the comments, as well as early access to videos, then consider joining the channel. Or not, that's fine too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's see what he decides to do. David, what the f are you doing, David? David, stop being a prick. David! Why play the game? Why play the game if you're going to act like that? Right, I'm getting Hatch. Easiest report in history, man. Absolutely, 100%. I didn't even thought of reporting players. I usually just swear off against them in stream. I hadn't even thought of reporting players for playing like that. Why not just play a different game if you don't want to play the game? Why not just play a different game, man?